Okay, hello everybody. Today's date, I believe, is October 11th, 2021, and my name is Leslie Williams. So, this is going to be a video series, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to title this video series, Eye Lens and Ear Implants, Remote Neural Monitoring, Gang Stalking. As of right now, concerning where my thinking is at, pertaining to this video series, is it's going to be at least a two-part video series. And I'm going to dive right into the subject matter. So if you don't know anything about gang stalking, well, even if you do or don't, I strongly suggest you get up and get a pen and piece of paper right now. I'll give you about 35-40 seconds to go do that before I segue into the subject matter. Let me state this as well. Anybody who doesn't know about gang stalking or doesn't know a lot about gang stalking, when you watch my videos, okay, you might think to yourself, when you hear certain things being described and detailed, you might think to yourself, there's no way this could be going on. So I'm going to just help you understand that, immediately understand, that I'd say at least 95% at least of the things that I expose in my videos are already all over the internet, exposed in tens of thousands of posts. These crimes have also been exposed in hundreds of books, including books written by scientists, doctors, researchers, professors, and tens of thousands and professors, and some very educated gang stalking victims. So, and this crime is also being repeatedly covered on national radio shows, including ones I've been on. So, you need to keep in mind that whenever you run into or are introduced to a subject matter that you've never heard about, especially this crime, because this crime has got stuff going on within it that your deepest imagination probably wouldn't even begin to approach the threshold of. It's that sophisticated. So just hear me out. Research what I expose in my videos, sweethearts, and you'll see the truth, because it's massively reported online, on every online platform that you can think of, every single day. No matter what day you see this video, okay? Understand and know there are thousands and thousands of victims reporting this crime online on every online platform that exists every day, no matter what day you see this video. Now, so that should have given you enough time to go get a pen and piece of paper. And so what I'm going to do in this particular video is I'm going to detail the subject matter of this video is exposing some of the reported crimes that are being reported online about concerning eye lens implants, ear implants, remote neural monitoring, and gang stalking criminal expeditions, gang stalking crimes. So, now, first what I'm going to do is I'm going to briefly mention to you when you research remote neural monitoring, you're going to be able to immediately, you're going to conclude, either right away or eventually, okay, that remote neural monitoring is widely reported to be able to neurally monitor a gang stalking victim from a remote distance, which means that their brain is being mapped and hacked, neurally influenced, manipulated, and even encoded from a remote distance. Okay? Remote neural monitoring obviously also has the capability of decoding neurological processes and biological processes. So always keep that in mind as well. All right, hold on one second. So the crime of gang stalking allows these, concerning remote neural monitoring, allows these individuals to do these types of things from a distance. It also has got the capacity to monitor, okay, and harvest what the brain processes, including the visual and auditorial cortex. So that means anything that your auditorial cortex processes, anything your visual cortex processes, including visual memories, can be recorded, mapped, okay, and even manipulated, okay, into virtual reality, augmented reality, visual softwares, extremely sophisticated software, including software that is in direct line concerning the quality of your best Hollywood movie that has ever been made. That is how good their visual software is. Meaning that say if a well-known, a massively worldwide well-known director decided to make a movie, and he spent tens of millions of dollars in making that movie, well, you better be dang sure that director is going to create a big, gigantic visual production using the best visual equipment known to man. Okay? Well, the visual augmented reality and virtual reality visual software that these psychotic rats own and use in remote neural monitoring, neural manipulation, artificial synthetic dreams included, okay, is just as sophisticated as that. So we are talking about, if you look at one of the best quality made Hollywood movies that have been made in the past 15 years, including up to this very date, if you look at some of the best, extremely well-made movies, the visual production software that they have is directly, at least directly equal to, okay, those types of well-type made movies. Now, the reason why I went out of my way to spend an extra minute discussing that was because I'm trying to drive home into the conscious awareness of my viewers, okay, the level of sophistication of the technologies that these psychotic rats have and are absolutely using within the integrated technologies that this crime has and uses against gang stalking victims' neurological and biological systems. Because when you start researching my descriptions, and when you get online, you research my descriptions, you're going to run into many posts of other victims, as well as activists, doctors, professors, scientists, their exposures, who are also detailing, this crime, including what is part of this crime, which are the technologies. You're going to see them exposing the same thing, especially related to the neurological and biological manipulations, influencing, and much more. So you need to be able to immediately see, through description, the capabilities and resources of these wild demonic horrors. Because the only way you're going to be able to, you sit back and you bring up a blog, like a gang stalking victims blog, if you bring one up, and you see that victim state that they're experiencing extremely bizarre, extremely violent, extremely sadistic, electronic synthetic visual dreams connected to remote neural monitoring, you might just, your first instinct is going to immediately say, there's no way this is possible. That's going to be your first, conclusion. Your first immediate conclusion before you even touch that keyboard to do any research. That's going to be your first immediate thought, that there's no way something like this can happen. Well, sweethearts, it's not only happening, it's happening in the most sophisticated level that your mind can conceive and cannot. And this is, again, why I try to drive these types of statements home to you, in order to excite you to do the research. Because then when you do the research, your mind's going to be literally blown. So check this out. So when a gang stalking victim writes a blog and says that they're experiencing extremely depraved visual productions within the artificial electronic synthetic dreams perpetrated through remote neural monitoring, that just basically means that they're creating visual productions just like you create a movie, including the best well-made movie, visually and concerning, the storyline and the whole 9 yards. I've already made videos dedicated to this account that show me talking about electronic synthetic dreams, so I'm not going to dive into that aspect of remote neural monitoring in this particular video, because I've already spent too much time talking about it already. So check this out. So when you see targets' blogs, and you see them exposing what they're enduring through this crime, including what they're enduring through remote neural monitoring, you're going to eventually run into those types of statements. And you will probably even run into very descriptive statements within their exposures concerning what types of dreams they're enduring. Now, so let's take a fast look at how our brain processes information at the introductory level. Now, just hear me out. This is only going to be like a few minutes. I'm going to talk about this. I'm only going to give you enough information so you can see how that information can be used as a foundation for my follow-up statements. And trust me, stay with this video. I literally guarantee you will be glad you did. So check this out. Now, so when you look at the human face and the human head, we all know where our eyes are, where our nose is, where our ears are, and where our chin and mouth is, and so on. So when you look at the human head, right next to the human ears is going towards the face, right by the eyes, is an area called your temples. Temples. Okay, temples, your right and left temple. Then you have at the very bottom of the back of your head, right towards the middle, but yet just about maybe anywhere between almost a half an inch away from where the neck meets the back of the head, you have a brain stem, and you have what is known as a right and left cranium. At the very bottom of the back of the base of the head, you have a right and left cranium, and you have a brain stem. So keep those 4 descriptions in mind, even though I stated brain stem too. 4 meaning right and left temple, right and left back cranium. Now, so how is that relevant to remote neuromonitoring and gang stalking crimes? Well, I'm going to introduce to you some dialogue based on how it's relevant concerning the most rudimentary, yet extremely sophisticated, okay, and massively done reported crimes that are dedicated to these areas of the brain. So, your right and left temple, some of the features and functions of them are dedicated to memories, and they are dedicated to auditorial processing. The bottom right and left cranium, to the very back of the head, at the bottom, right before your neck starts to form, concerning how your neck meets the very base of the back of the bottom of the head, is your right and left cranium. Now, your right and left cranium plays a huge role in visual processing. Okay, so right and left temple is auditorial processing and memory. Okay, meaning that your memories are kind of stored. A huge aspect of your memories are stored and located in the brain that's right by the temples. And so that's auditorial processing and memories. Right and left temple. Back right and left cranium is visual processing. Now, what's 2 of the main massively reported crimes occurring in gang stalking crimes connected to remote neuromonitoring? Auditorial and visual entrainment. Okay? Now, you should also know that visual memories is part of visual entrainment as well. And you should also know, hold on one second. Just give me 1 second here. You should also know that gang stalking victims are reporting, tens of thousands are reporting, that voice-to-skull and other types of sound technology is being used in order to force that victim's brain to process whatever sound, whether it be repeated words, phrases, statements, laughing, mocking, words, phrases, let's just say words, phrases, and statements right now, okay, are processed through the ears. With voice-to-skull, is done through bone conduction as well as the microwave hearing effect, so that the victim is forced to hear in their audio cortex what is sent to them through voice-to-skull and through ultrasound and through the microwave hearing effect. But hollow sonics can also be criminally used by these perpetrators, as well as the audio spotlight. So when you research the sound acoustic technology that is widely, massively reported, when I say reported, I'm talking about massively reported, unless I state otherwise, okay? Now, it's reported that these acoustic technologies, okay, sound technologies, are being used for auditorial entrainment. So that would be where the voice-to-skull, the ultrasonic sound bone conduction, the microwave hearing effect, those 3 sound technologies alone are widely reported, 3 of many, to be used for auditorial entrainment connected to gang stalking crimes. Now, so whenever a gang stalking victim is forced to hear sound harassment through these technologies, and the sound harassment that's propped up around them through the community-based harassment, that's directly connected to the auditorial entrainment. Now, hold on 1 second. Now, the right and left temple is also uh, very, very, very connected to auditorial processing. Okay. Now, so if you're experiencing voice to skull bone conduction, you should also know, even though you're experiencing that, there's an extreme, extreme, extreme likelihood that what is being perpetrated for you to hear through voice to skull and or ultrasonic sound and or the microwave hearing effect, you better be, there's like a 99% chance that the temple is also being used to transfer those sounds. It's being additionally used to transfer those sounds that are perpetrated through these types of sound technologies that this crime widely uses. Now, the visual imagery that the victim is being forced to see, whether it be a stimulated visual memory or visual imagery that is sent directly to the visual cortex directly from remote neuromonitoring, it's widely understood that the back and right, the right and left lower back cranium of the head is being used to process that visual imagery, because you got to remember, this is part of the brain that's dedicated for visual processing. When you watch a TV show or a movie, or when you go out and about in the community and you see the environment in front of you, you're processing that information by and through your retina to your optical nerve, but there's also other functions of the brain that is assisting in that visual processing. Is it the right and left cranium? Hold on one second. I apologize for the interruptions, but I'm taking a break as I'm making this video, so I'm smoking a cigarette, so I apologize for the interruptions. This crime has my schedule compromised on a daily basis every single day, okay? Sometimes on a massive scale. So, when I find time to make a video, I'll also do additional things, and that can include me taking a cigarette break, so please bear with me. All right, one more second. So, now, let's say if you got a gang stalking victim. I'm going to bring up another phone here so I can show you a pictorial attachment on it. So bear with me. I'll continue to talk as I'm bringing it up. Say if you got a gang stalking victim who's got non-consensual biofilm, light crystal, ocular eye lens implants put in them by and through these sadistic criminals. Okay? Non-consensually, without their knowledge or consent. Hold on one second. I gotta find my glasses. So say if you got a victim who has non-consensual ocular eye lens implants in their eyes, which in a minute here I'm going to show you what they look like, put in their eyes without their knowledge and without their consent, meaning that somehow they got put in there through a doctor who is directly connected to this organized crime, nationwide organized crime syndicate. But you can also have ear implants in you. Now, I'm going to show you some images right now so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. Hold on one second. I had another tape recorder on in the background. I didn't realize it. Alright, now these right here are literally my eyes. I'm going to let this zoom in so you can see it. Alright, hold on one second. Okay, my name is Leslie Williams, and these are my eyes. Hold on one more second. There we go. Trying to let that zoom in. I don't know why it's not. It's very odd. Alright, so we'll just hold it there and hopefully it will zoom in. Let me do one more thing here. Apologize for the interruptions. Okay, there you go. Now, these are literally my eyes. These light crystal biofilm ocular eye lens implants. Okay, you can clearly see they're there. And if you look very closely, hopefully it will show it clear enough. The zoom that I'm in right now is not really showing it the way it has in prior videos, but if you look real closely, you should be able to see, when you see those vertical, the vertical white lines in the eyes, those are light crystal dots that are in even arrayed columns and rows, stretched all the way across the BioLens implants biofilm eye lens implants that stretch from the corner of both corners of the eyes across the eyes, which you can see their outline right there. Okay, now the bubbles you see in the whites of the eyes are eye fluid sacs and water sacs that formed on the surface of the eyes as a direct result of over 18 full straight hours of extremely high levels of electromagnetic weapons torture, directed energy weapons torture, and ultrasonic sound bone conduction torture that occurred at 2 locations. As a direct result, they were literally boiling my brain and my face, and that created the eye sacs. Those are boil bubbles, just like when you boil an egg. Now, these eye fluid sacs and water sacs appeared on the surface of the eyes, pushing the back part of the biofilm light crystal remote neuromonitoring eye lens implants, ocular eye lens implants out that rest on the eyes, pushing them out, making them transparently visible. Now, these are photos from a live Periscope video taken on June 3rd, 2020 out here in San Diego. And these have also been caught in many, and in at least 30 subsequent videos since that date. This type of evidence has also been produced on other dates where I was in situations and environments where I was not able to make a video. So that should tell you immediately that the torture is continuing. Okay, you also need to write down that YouTube URL link and bring it up and watch it. Some of the functions and features of these eye lens implants are discussed in it. You should also know when you bring that video up, that video is part of a playlist, Techno Crime Fighters playlist dedicated to that channel. So you should also watch video number 50, 51, 58, which is what this one is, 70, and 71. Okay? Absolutely. So, now, these eye lens implants enables the perpetrators to send video streams and photos to them, forcing me to see what is sent to them, because whatever is projected onto them is processed in the retina, to the optical nerve, to the visual cortex. This right here, let me see if I can, all right, hold on. So I can't really, all right, let me do one more thing here, hold on. Okay, so what you want to do right here is you want to take a snap screenshot of this. Okay, this right here is a pictorial attachment that used to be on UnitedTargetIndividualsEurope.com's website back in 2009 and 10. Okay, they have since removed it, but some of the text that's on it is still on their website. This shows a brain-to-computer interface implant that is put in the mid of the brain, midbrain, with an antenna lead that goes up from the midbrain all the way up to right below the edge of the skull on the inside. That's how they're able to remotely neurally access the implant that's put in the midbrain, brain-to-computer interface remote neuromonitoring. It's also got a control device right up in here, right below the collarbone. I'm constantly feeling electricity and heat right at that very spot every day. I also experience electronic stings on the top of my head every day, as well as to the back of the head. And I also have a bump on the back of my head. Now this one right here shows an implant in the back of the head, okay, in the back of the neck, and 3 along the spinal column. This one, and I also feel electronic stings at all 4 of those, all 5 of those spots, and I do not lie. Now, this right here is a non-consensual cochlear ear implant, which is Wi-Fi accessible, meaning that it can be accessed by and through a phone, a computer. So when you research cochlear ear implants, COCHLEAR, to gang stalking, you're going to be able to see that it is widely exposed that these types of ear implants are put in gang stalking victims without their knowledge or consent. I do have a laser surgery scar on the back of my right ear, okay, captured in a live Periscope broadcast, and then photos taken from it, and then those photos have been shown in videos I made that I put on YouTube, including ones through this account. Hold on one second. Now, when you take a snap screenshot of this, you're going to be able to see that trigger words. Go to Google and type in at Google, sensitization method of gang stalking, repeating words and phrases, repeating identical words. Words have specific sound frequencies. If you don't believe me on that, go to Google Play Store and download a sound spectrum analyzer, and then say specific words like gang stalk, oh my God, and look at the types of frequencies those specific words emit as a result of what the sound spectrum analyzer is showing you that their frequencies are. Hold on. So that's got to do with auditorial brain entrainment. Okay? So when a non-stop identical word and phrase is repeated around a gang stalking victim who has one of these ear implants, the sounds of those words create auditorial brain entrained neural networks that the brain-to-computer interface is deciphering. Those auditorially trained neural networks and neural pathways eventually produce what is known as a potentiated frequency output from them because of the reinforcement of them as a direct result of the non-stop identical repetition that is said around the victim every day. Now, the trigger words and their auditorially trained pathways create what is known as a potentiated frequency output that can fall very close within the same exact identical range of other implants. Okay? And then what happens is that the perpetrators are sending a modulated signal to both, okay, and then interfacing the radio frequency of the implant to the potentiated frequency output of the auditorial entrainment and matching them and modulating them together so whenever the trigger word is said, the implant gets activated. I'm going to make a more in-depth video concerning this so you can have a better way to see it. You should also know it states that the spinal column implants and the head implants are also activated when the victim is under distress and duress. The stress and duress is intentionally perpetrated through the community-based gang stalking and some of the sound tech and some of the visual ways that remote neural monitoring is being used. And remote neural monitoring can also be used for visual entrainment as well as the color coding that is done through gang stalking, community-based harassment. So just research my statements and you'll be able to connect the dots over time. Now, so what's an important part about this video? I don't have a laser surgery scar on the back of my ear for no reason. I've never had surgery in my life except for once when I had some wisdom teeth pulled back in 1984 through a dentist my ex-husband took me to. Okay? You should also research dentist and gang stalking, as well as ear, nose, and throat specialist. Okay? Now, so I'm going to now segue into another very, let me just show you one more snap screenshot here real fast. Okay, here's another video. These are photos from another date, from another video. I think this was made around July 25th, July 28th, and you can see they're being captured again. Okay? Oh, absolutely. Okay, and when you have these iLens implants in your eyes, if you shine a black UV light on them, it'll show up as turquoise. That's my eye right there in turquoise, and so on and so forth. So, now, the reason why I wanted to show you these things is because you need to see what they're doing to gang stalking victims in real time. That's me. That's my face. Okay? And this right here is a photo taken from a video that I made around September 15th, 2021, not 40 feet away from where I'm sitting at right now. And the sun is in the back of me. All right, hold on. Let me just kind of... bear with me a second. So the sun is in back of me, so the sun is not producing this red area on my face. What this more than likely is that the video camera caught, okay, directed energy being perpetrated to my face on this day, and the video camera caught it. You should also research non-open implant and nasal implants in gang stalking. It's widely reported, including by doctors, that the nasal implants, the iLens implants, and the ear implants work together in a triangular way. And when they send energy to these implants, to the face and the area of the body that the implants are in, the body absorbs the energy, direct energy weapons, and then the implants can be activated that way, and the implants can also be used as a form of torture. Oh, absolutely. So let me segue into my statements concerning another relevant aspect of the subject matter of this video. Say if you do have ear implants that are put in you, and you're a gang stalking victim, and you have ear implants put in you without your knowledge or consent, but yet through educated knowledge and experience, you start to suspect that they're there. Okay? And the same victim is experiencing extremely high levels very frequently, meaning that at least 4 times a week, long durations of community-based sound harassment, where they will use landscape noise, low hum mufflers, airplane, helicopter noise, loud traffic noise. So research all my descriptions to gang stalking, because what I'm just told you is widely reported by tens of thousands of victims. So say if you got this ear implant in you, and you should also know that an ear implant can act as a sound amplifier. And remember, the ear implant is also additionally there for auditory brain entrainment. So if they want to auditorially brain entrain you to specific sounds that retrofitted mufflers of cars, trucks, and maybe even airplanes emit as they're constantly in your environment, including for even 14 hours a day. What you need to understand is that these retrofitted mufflers from these cars and other vehicles, and retrofitted noise, where the engines of airplanes are known to emit a specific noise when they're at a specific designated distance from the victim. When the victim is bombarded with it all day long, the brain is going to pick it up in the right hemisphere. It's going to lock onto it. It's called the frequency following response, because these sounds have their own frequencies. So the brain is going to follow it. It's going to fixate on it. And trust me when I say this crime has many different additional ways to let you know that that sound that you're forced to hear all day long in a very disruptive way is intentionally being propped up through gang stalking. So the brain is going to fixate on it just for that reason alone. It's called the frequency following response. Therefore, auditory entrainment takes place. So if you got a victim who's got these ear implants in them and they're enduring massive amounts of nonstop noise harassment, including every day for 2.5 years, that victim is going to start looking for ways to block it out. So they might start putting tissue in their ears. They might buy noise cancellation headphones. Because you got to remember, the ear implants are also acting as a sound amplifier. So if you're sitting 500 feet off a road, okay, and you're enduring it for 12 straight hours, you're still going to hear it a lot louder than what the natural human ear would process it, because the ear implant is acting as a sound amplifier so that the auditory entrainment can be achieved. Now, this particular phone, or its microcards that have been regularly bought and put in it, only allow me to make videos that are 33 minutes and 9 seconds long 98% of the time. So when I reach the 33 minute and 9 second mark, I'm going to make a statement that this is video number 2 of this video series, and I'm going to repeat the title. And then I'm going to continue with my statements that I was just making a minute ago before I started talking about the fact that that's what this phone does. I'm going to continue those statements. And so I'll be approaching that mark here within a few seconds, so bear with me. Okay, so this phone has now reached the 33 minute and 9 second mark a couple seconds ago. And I'm going to assume that this phone does what it naturally does. Starts a second video when it reaches that mark. So this is the second video of the video series that is going to be titled Eyelens Implants, Ear Implants, Remote Neuromonitoring, Gang Stalking Crimes. And I'm going to immediately pick up from where I left off at the tail end of the first video. Now, let me just interject this statement, just in case the video card is making a video to where it's just making an hour-long video, or like an hour and 6 minute long video, instead of 2 33-minute and 9 second videos. Well, then you'll just know that when you see the video in the YouTube account, because that's what it does sometimes. I don't know why it does it. It's got to do with possibly the types of memory cards that I buy from Amazon. So anyway, so now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to segue. I'm going to continue my statements of where I left off at about the 32 minute and 50 second mark of the first video. Now, at that point in the first video, I was segueing into discussing what a victim of gang stalking was possibly enduring as a direct result of possibly having an ear implant in their ear and being subject to extremely high levels of massive community-based noise harassment through vehicles and possibly through through vehicles, cars and trucks and stuff like that, and possibly also airplane and helicopter noise. All my descriptions can be Googled to gang stalking. In the first video, I showed the islands implants that are in my eyes, and I showed a pictorial attachment that used to be on the website www.unitedtargetindividualseurope.com's website back in 2009 and 10. Now, I've already shut that other phone off that showed you these snap screenshots, so just go into this account, look for the video. In case it's not titled right away, you'll know that you're in the right video, video 1. Excuse me, this is video 2. Video 1 will show me stating the same exact video title, because I'm going to make at least 2 videos dedicated to this video series, and they both got the same title, except the first video will have a number 1 at the end of it, the second video will have a number 2 at the end of it. So when you go into the YouTube account and you find a video that's uploaded within a very short time period of this one, and you see at the beginning of that video me saying that this is video 1 of a video series that's titled Islands Implants, Ear Implants, Remote Neural Monitoring, and Gang Stalking, you'll know you're in the right one, because this crime keeps me so busy that I don't have time to title my videos right away. And you should also know, I made a video yesterday when I was doing some community-based activism, public activism, okay? And I made a video as I was doing that public activism, and they wouldn't allow me to upload it yesterday at Vaughn's. So we're going to see if that starts to happen now when I go out and about in the community, because they're not allowing me to upload videos at wooded areas. Research, cell phone signal jamming, and gang stalking. So now it appears they might be starting to do it along my routes as well, because I already know they're not allowing me to do it through Wi-Fi, through business Wi-Fis. So we're going to see if they have stopped allowing me to upload videos through my own mobile service by and through cell phone signal jamming connected to gang stalking crime. So if you don't see my videos uploaded for many days after the date they're made, that's what's going on. So I needed to make that statement. So segueing into the continuation of my statements that I was making in the first video. Say if you got a gang stalking victim who's got biofilm, light crystal, ocular islands implants in their eyes, which I proved in the first video. Well, let's say if you got a victim who's got those types of islands implants in their eyes, who's also got an ear implant in both of their ears, including either nanotech audio implants in their ears and or cochlear ear implants in their ears. Those, a picture of the cochlear ear implants, the brain to computer, the brain implants, and the spinal column implants were shown in the first video, okay? Along with the biofilm light crystal islands implants. So, let's say if this same victim who's got the islands implants in their eyes also has ear implants in their ears. Now, these ear implants would act as a sound amplifier, making it extremely hard for that victim to block out the noise harassment propped up through the community-based harassment. You should also know that ear implants can also assist in ultrasonic sound concerning the ways it's being used, pertaining to what's widely reported on the internet, and it can also act as a conduit for voice to skull. So always remember that. Now, in the first video, I openly not only shown what these ear implants look like and how they're attached to gang stalking by showing the pictorial attachment from the website I mentioned a second ago, but you should also know that, well, the ear implants also assist in auditory brain treatment, not just because of the non-stop identical words and phrases that can be repeated around a victim who has these ear implants through the community-based gang stalking, but also the sound harassment through the retrofitted mufflers of cars, the retrofitted mufflers of large industrial vehicles, and even the sound of airplane engines. Okay, now when you extensively, meticulously research these types of descriptions to gang stalking noise harassment, you're going to see that it's widely reported to be going on in gang stalking crimes to begin with, whether you got an ear implant or not. All right? But if you got an ear implant, you better be damn sure that they're using that ear implant as a sound amplifier so that what is propped up is heard at a specific decibel. Okay? So you can be at a wooded area 100 feet off a road, but with the implant in your ear, it will sound like you're 50 feet off the road or 5 feet off the road. Okay? Now, that again, that would be done to assist in auditorial brain treatment. Now, let's say if you got a victim who's got a non-consensual cochlear ear implant in their ear, And they're being bombarded for 2.5 straight years with nonstop, every day, nonstop massive noise harassment. Okay? Because they might have been made homeless and maybe they were corralled into an area that they couldn't immediately leave from. And that can be discussed on a later date in another video. Trust me, once it's exposed, you'll thoroughly and completely understand, and you'll say, okay, I can see now why that victim chose to stay in those areas on those dates. So, the victim was subject to massive non-stop noise harassment every single day at this wooded area for 2.5 straight years. So the victim started putting tissue in their ears to block it out, and they bought some noise cancellation headphones, the type that construction workers use in order to block out noise that's constantly around them as they're at a construction site. So they now are putting tissue in their ears, and then they're putting these noise cancellation headphones on. And when they first started doing this, it was blocking out about 70-80% of the noise that was being propped up around them at this specific wooded area. So then with the perpetrators, if they were able to distinguish through remote neural monitoring the auditory cortex, that the level of the sound emitted from the community-based noise harassment was not achieving the brain entrainment at the decibel rate, okay, that they wanted after the victims started putting these things on their ears and in their ears, then they wanted to still be able to achieve this auditory entrainment. So that means then that they would have to tweak the sound coming from their retrofitted mufflers so that it would still get through at the level they wanted it to get through. Because it doesn't matter if you got tissue in your ears or even noise cancellation headphones on. There are certain decibels of sounds that can still be picked up by the human ear no matter what you put in your ear or on your ears. And these sick, filthy, satanic, mass murdering, raping whores will literally go to that length. Because you got to consider this as well and really think about this follow-up statement. Consider this. Retrofitted car mufflers and truck mufflers, and the fact that airplane engine noise is already widely exposed to be going on against tens of thousands of victims all over America, including other types of noises that are being intentionally, specific noises that are being intentionally propped up around gang stalking victims' homes, like landscape noise, lawnmower noise, construction noise, okay? Airplane noise, helicopter noise, and then you got the retrofitted mufflers on motorcycles, cars, and vans, trucks, and other types of industrial vehicles. So this is something that's already massively widely reported to be done against tens of thousands of victims already to begin with. So look at the work that's done, and then when you look at, you say, okay, well, that's just noise harassment propped up by demonic assholes in order to make somebody feel bombarded and overload their senses every day. No. Sweethearts, this literally has an exacting specific motive that is extremely sophisticated. Auditory brain entrainment. Especially if you got a gang stalking victim whose ears are processing ultrasonic sound and or infrasound as this noise harassment is being propped up. That right there should tell you that they're trying to use the noise and the frequencies, the sound frequencies of the noise to be offset and onto as the brain is processing the ultrasonic sound. So trust me when I say they have very, 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 very sophisticated, extremely sophisticated objectives. Okay, because as your brain is processing all the community-based noise, the brain is also simultaneously processing the ultrasonic sound decibels and its frequencies. So are they using the ultrasonic sound as the sound wave carrier for the sound of all the community-based noise propped up harassment? Hold on. So you need to understand that no matter how well you immediately understand this or not, it's being done for the sake of extremely, extremely sophisticated crime motivations. Hold on. So, let's say you got a gang stalking victim whose ears were being fried as a direct result of the extremely high levels of ultrasonic sound being forced to be processed through the ears as the community-based noise harassment was going on. Now, hold on one second, because I got to take a drink of water, because I got a scratch in my throat, and it's interrupting my ability to continue to expose what I'm stating. All right, one more second. Now, so when your brain is being forced to process extremely high levels of ultrasonic sound, and which can also produce thermoelastic heating within the inner ear canal, the earwax is getting heated up, and then when they lower the ultrasonic sound, it then starts to cool off. But the earwax itself starts to become extremely resonated. And what it will do is that it can be absorbed into the inner ear canal with the water that got caught in the ears from the tissue that was put in the ear. Because in order to put the tissue in the ear deep enough into the ear to where it blocks out the noise harassment from the community-based noise harassment, the victim was hit so bad, nonstop every day, sometimes 12 hours in a row for 2.5 years, the victim was being put through extreme torture through the ultrasonic sound, being processed in the ears at extremely high levels, while you're enduring nonstop massive noise harassment every day, all day long. So the victim was going through extreme hell trying to find the best way to get the tissue in the ears so it could block out the noise harassment from the community-based harassment to the best of their possible ability. So meaning that victim was putting the tissue, the bathroom tissue, in their mouth in order to soak it with water. Okay, so it could be then shaped into the right type of contour so it could fit down into the ear deep enough to where it would block out the noise best enough, while at the same time not sticking it so far deep down into the ear that it would get shoved down in the ear to where you can't get it out. So this is what that victim was fighting with 4 or 5 times a day, every day, for nonstop for 2.5 years. So then you got to also know that this same victim was experiencing extremely high levels of directed energy weapons attacks and electromagnetic weapons attacks to the brain and the head. So the only way that victim could figure out how to try and block that out as much as possible is by putting wet bandanas on their head. Because water, what that does is, see, water can interrupt the radio frequency. And they're perpetrating these electromagnetic weapons and directed energy weapons through microwaves, which can also have radio waves on them. Now, I know this is all sounded a little bit, it's a little bit much. Trust me, I know what it sounds like. Just do the research into the electromagnetic weapons and the microwave weapons that are being used on gang stalking victims, including the fact that the microwave hearing effect can also be being used. So, radiation and radio waves have a hard time getting through water because the water molecules have their own electrical, chemical elements within them. So they act as a refraction and they absorb a lot of radiation. So if you're putting a lot of bandanas on your head that's soaked with water continually on your head all day, every day, and pouring water on your head, okay, that's getting down into the ear, right? So when you're being hit with this shit and then every day, and you're trying to block it out while the inner ear is producing a lot of thermoelastic heating, because they're literally frying the ear between either the microwave hearing effect and or the ultrasonic sound, the earwax starts to resonate. It starts to become a resin. And it starts to become real liquidy as the ear is experiencing thermoelastic heating. But then when they turn the ultrasonic sound down and or the infrasound down and or the microwave hearing effect down concerning its frequency, hertz, and decibel, then what will happen is that earwax will start to get hard again. But when it's resonated, when it's in the resonance form, it will start to stick to the skin of the inner ear walls, the canal walls, right? Well, when you got tissue that might accidentally get shoved a little bit too deep within the ear on specific days as it's wet, the earwax is attaching to the tissue. And then when the ear starts to cool off, when they turn it down, the earwax to the water, to the skin, that's also got water on it, okay, from all these different, identified things I just stated, what will happen is that the tissue will start to stick like wallpaper, literally like wallpaper, to the skin of the inner ear canal. And if you maybe accidentally got a tissue wad stuck in the ear canal as a direct result of having to change the tissue in your ear 6-7 times a day, 2-3 times at night, in order to continue to block out all the shit, because this is how bad it was, nonstop every day, for 2.5 years, nonstop every day. Okay, you trying to block it out, because you got to remember, when the tissue dries up, it starts to expand. So it's not blocking out the noise as much as it did when you first put it in when it was wet. Okay? So you got to take it out, and then you got to put a new one in. But sometimes it would break up, and you would not know about it, so part of it still stayed in, and then when you put the new stuff in, it shoved down the part of the old stuff deeper into the ear. And you didn't know it. You were thinking when you pulled it out, you got it all out, but there was part of it still left. So when then you put the new in, the new wet stuff in, it pushed the dry stuff down deeper into the ear. Then on subsequent dates, when the ear got water in it from the bandanas and the other tissue that you put in the ear, it helped what it did was added water to the part of the tissue that got stuck deeper into the ear. And then as it was moist, as they were lighting up the ear with the identified sound technologies I've already stated, it caused wax to get on to that stuck tissue down in there. So therefore, the paper then got resonated, okay, and then it also got wet from additional water, and then when it started to dry out, okay, from the thermoelastic heating, it got stuck to the inner, deeper part of the ear. Now, why is all of this relevant? Because when you're being tortured, when you got a cochlear ear implant in your ear and you're being hit with extremely high levels of ultrasonic sound and or infrasound and or the microwave hearing effect, it's very possible, including then when you get the water possibly in parts of the mechanisms of the ear implant, it's very possible that this ear implant might start malfunctioning. What would be one of the telltale ways that an ear implant that is put in you, consensually or non-consensually, is malfunctioning? Water. The heat that was forced to be experienced within the ear mechanism from the aforementioned types of technologies could have also damaged it. So if you're walking down the street and you're making statements in your tape recorder like I do, and you're hearing your voice in your ear mechanism, in your inner ear, in a speaker type way, that's a telltale sign that you got a cochlear ear implant in your ear that's malfunctioning. The malfunctioning is a result of the extreme torture that the ear was enduring as the ear implant is in there. And then you got to also figure water could have got down into it and affected it while all this other effects were being created. So if you got a cochlear ear implant in you that's malfunctioning in specific ways, then what can happen is that the ear implant can start causing, when you speak and your ears are like right now you hear me talk with your ears. Well, my ears are hearing me talk as well. And so what can happen is that the ear implant, the sound processor of the ear implant, and or what causes the amplification of sound connected to the ear implant, or even the electrodes that's put on the cochlear part of the inner ear, either one or all three or two of these three things can start malfunctioning. So what you'll start hearing when you talk is you can start hearing your speech through your ears in a speaker type way. An example of what I mean by that is that if you get on a stage I don't go to bars, but I've seen the videos of people doing karaoke at bars, okay? And they'll get up on the stage and they'll act like they're singing, and then they got a microphone, and what's coming out on the little speaker on the stage, okay, it's like an amp. It's like you're hearing a speaker in your head. And since you're hearing yourself talk as you talk, you're literally hearing your voice come out in a speaker type fashion in your own head. Literally. Because the cochlear ear implant is malfunctioning, and the cochlear ear implant has a sound processor on it, and it's also got a it's got a sound processor on it. It's got electrodes on the cochlear part, and it's got a speech processor. But if it's malfunctioning, that's one of the identified ways that the cochlear ear implant will start malfunctioning. That's one of the effects of when it's malfunctioning, is that you'll literally hear your own voice when you talk in a speaker type way in your own head. Okay? Now, so, say if you got a victim who's also experiencing extreme pain as a direct result of the tissue being stuck in their ears. So they've already experienced the speaker type effect in their head, while they're experiencing extreme pain in their ear, because now that tissue has gotten stuck down in there enough to where it's hard for the person to get out, but not hard enough to where it would probably cause any infections concerning mold or water infections or anything like that. So the victim, though, wants to get that tissue out. So they go to an area hospital. Okay? And they say, I got tissue in my ears, it's causing a lot of pain. But what's really happening is that as a direct result of the continued ultrasonic sound and or infrasound and or the microwave hearing effect, any one of these three can cause thermoelastic heating inside the ear. When the inner ear starts to expand as a result of these sound technologies being perpetrated at extremely high levels, the inner ear starts to heat up. And then it will start, that part of the ear where the tissue's at, it starts to get really aggravated. And it starts producing its own pain. So the victim says, I can't take this shit every day, nonstop torture. Between the effects of the possible cochlear ear implant malfunctioning as a direct result of the sound torture, okay, from the ultrasonic sound, infrasound, and or the microwave hearing effect, and the community-based sound harassment, and the fact that there could be a small infection starting, possibly. Very possibly, but not likely, but possibly, because of the tissue that's been stuck in the ears for so long. So the victim goes to the hospital, the emergency room, and they say, I got tissue stuck in my ear. Now, consider this. You're hearing a 60-year-old person state this who could be enduring it. Okay? So a person who by the time they get to be close to 60 years of age, they know how to treat their body in reference to how they should be careful. You don't put something way down into your ear, and because you know that could damage your ear mechanism. So trust me when I say, this victim's intelligence, they're wise, they know how to make healthy, appropriate choices. So they know, okay, they know not to stick any type of instrument down deep into their ear canal, okay? They know this already. So the victim goes to the emergency room, and they say they got some tissue stuck in their ear, but they know through experience that tissue is not deep down into the ear canal. It's just like at the beginning of the ear canal, right a little bit past the tip of the edge of where your fingertip, your pinky finger would be if you stuck your finger deep down into your ear, the deepest it would go. So the tissue would be maybe a 32nd of an inch past that. So in other words, it's not deep into the ear canal. It's just out of reach of tweezers. Right? Because they feel the edge of the tissue with the tweezers, but it's still deep enough in there to where the tweezers can grab it. Now the reason why I went to that extra length of exposure, of detailing that in that way, is because when the victim goes to the emergency room, they're literally being gang stalked in the emergency room as they're being waited on. And their tape recorder proves it, indisputably. So the victim says, I got massive ear problems right now. I got tissue stuck in my ears. The doctor comes in there, and he takes this thing, and he looks in the ear. The thing he's looking in the ear with has got a light, and he says, okay, I see it. So then he takes a pair of hemostats, okay, and instead of grabbing it and pulling it out, he pushes it deeper into the ear canal. Now the victim, as the tissue is being pushed deeper into the ear canal, the victim can feel every centimeter of it being pushed down in there. From the spot where the tissue was at when the hemostats approached it, touched it, and then pushed it down deeper instead of grabbing it and pulling it out. So let me give you an example. if you were to take one of your hands and take your index finger and your thumb and create a circle, and then take your other index finger from your other hand and stick it down into that circle, then you can imagine the hemostats being the index finger that's going into the hole, right? So in other words, if you can picture you sticking a pen into a tube, okay? In other words, you being 60 years of age, you're a full-grown adult, and you're able to perceive what you're experiencing indisputably. Plus, you got to remember, the same victim tried to use hemostats and was able to determine exactly where that tissue was at in real time every day, because they tried to get it out every other day or 2-3 times a week and wasn't able to get it out, but they were absolutely able to indisputably determine exactly where it was at. Yet when the victim goes to the emergency room and the doctor puts the hemostats in, instead of him grabbing a hold of the edge of it and pulling it out, he pushed it in. And I'm talking about massively pulling it. Now, do you really think that an emergency room doctor would be able to do that accidentally? So what would be the purpose of something like this being done if it was done intentionally? Well, if you put tissue deeper into the ear in an environment where the victim is being gang-stalked at in the same exact identical way, verbal harassment, that's been caught at the wooded area that they endured all this noise harassment at, then that should tell you that whoever managed the wooded area noise harassment is the same satanic bitch who got the administrative staff, the nurses, and other people to repeat the same exact identical verbal harassment in the hospital as that victim was being waited upon. So that means 2 people were controlling both. I'm sorry, that means the same person was controlling 2 places, right? The wooded area that was managing the noise harassment that caused the tissue to be put in the ears to begin with. So, consider this. If you push tissue way down deep into the ear of a victim who's enduring massive noise harassment, and then that victim leaves and goes back to the wooded area and continues to endure the noise harassment in the same exact identical way, and the electromagnetic weapons torture, do you honestly think these perpetrators don't have any way of knowing what methods that the victim is using to protect themselves from this noise harassment? The bandanas on their head, okay, and the tissue in the ears and the noise cancellation headphones, because they monitor everything you do online, so they've seen that you bought these noise cancellation headphones on Amazon, on your Amazon shopping app. If they're monitoring through remote neural monitoring what you're hearing, as far as how well you're picking up that retrofitted decibel level of the retrofitted muffler, it's intentional sound. When you retrofit a muffler, it's being retrofitted to emit a specific sound. So when you're processing that sound, they're able to see how well that sound at that specific decibel that they're looking for as a result of retrofitting that muffler to emit a specific sound. They're watching the brain as the brain is processing it. So they're able to see if you have interrupted that by and through the tissues. And if you got biofilm islands implants in you, they can see you're getting tissue out and wadding it up in a ball and putting it in your ears. So, if they're able to monitor the auditorial cortex, they're able to determine that when you talk, you're hearing your own voice in a speaker way, and if the cochlear implant, so they're just determining that the cochlear implant has become marginally defective, and or if they're able to tell through interfacing with it through Wi-Fi, they're able to tell if it's defective in any measure. So if they want to pull it out, they got to give you a reason to go back to the hospital so the doctor can say, you got to go here, you might need ear surgery. So they can fucking take it out and or take it out and put a different one in. So what would cause you to have to go to the hospital or doctor in an emergency way to get emergency surgery on your ear? A fucking infection. So what will create an infection in your ear? Tissue way down in your fucking ear that's constantly getting wet, dry, wet, dry, wet, dry. Mold starts to appear on it. The ear mechanism starts to get infected. That starts to create extreme pain. You got to go to the doctor. The doctor is told to diagnose you with an ailment that you need ear surgery for, and then they take the defective one out and or take it out and put a new one in. Because you got to remember, the same exact identical verbal harassment that was caught in this hospital on all dates going there is the same exact identical verbal harassment that was being propped up at that wooded area where the victim was enduring the noise harassment. Okay, so when the noise harassment is and the trigger words that's exposed in the pictorial attachment that's exposed in video 1 of this 2-part video series shows that the trigger words are directly working together with the ear implants. And the trigger words were identical that were repeated at the hospital, that was caught in live Periscope videos and on many audio files at the wooded area where all this noise harassment was going on. You got to understand something. We're literally dealing with a crime that's already dedicated to extreme, massive torture against tens of thousands of victims. So if you honestly think that creating a health ailment in order to get, so that that health ailment ends up needing surgery, so that as a result of the surgery, additional other things can be done, if you don't think these sick, filthy whores are not above that, you should research staged car accidents and gang stalking, which are reported to be done in this crime. So when you get hurt in a car accident, they can implant you in a hospital. Literally. That's no exaggeration. That's literally part of this crime already. I got to go because I'm reaching the 106 and 9 second marks. So research what I've stated and know truth. What hospital do you think I'm referring to? I'm in La Jolla. Thank you for listening. Have a good day.